welcome back to the Plays with Cars YouTube channel. My name is Michael, and we're at PIR for an autocross. So yes, we are with the Oregon Region Porsche Club of America at Portland International Raceway with our V8 generation Audi S4 running in their non-Porsche all-wheel drive class, because that's all they have for us. But you can see there's quite a mix of non-Porsches and Porsches out here running at the event. And yeah, even on the EVs. So we're excited to run. The conditions are very, very wet. As you can see, we've got a lot of standing water, and you can see the goop in the water. It's pulling all the oils out from the ground. This is the South Pits. This is actually what PIR uses for drag racing as the pits. And also we had the swap meet here a few weeks ago, so there's a lot of oil in the asphalt that's being like pulled up right now. So it's very, very, very slick out there. We have one, it's not a 944, it's a 924 here. They just had a mechanical though, unfortunately. But yeah, we're excited to be out here. We're working right now, and then we run second. So yeah, I've been out instructing, and my student has found the course, so taking time to watch from outside the car, see how he does. But yeah, when they're all done with their running, then they'll switch. Everybody that's driving will work, everyone that's working will drive, and then we'll get to go out and make laps in our S4. We aren't the only Audi competing today either. There's this lovely RS5 Sportback. Oh, I love that color. Duck! Goose. it's our turn to drive. It is just dog wet out here, which should be great for the Quattro and all that. We are on the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's too, so we also have like the right tire for the conditions. It's only like 47 degrees according to the dash. Yeah, lots of standing water, lots of oils coming up and stuff, lots of cars spinning. Yeah, it's been rough out there. So a couple of air-cooled Porsches were real low in the times. A couple of the Cayman GTSs and GT4, and then James Paulson and the Camaro those were like your top guys in the first run group. Lots of cars having problems with grip and traction, and I think we're gonna see even more than that in our run group. So fingers crossed on how we do, but yeah, we're sitting here in grid, getting ready to go. And just to give you an idea of just how wet, just like opening the door to get in and like the water just everywhere. So yeah, it's rough out there.
Let's do.
that's going to do it for our first event with the S4 this season here at PIR. I don't know if it still stood because there were a couple of reruns still going, but at one point I was number 2 overall out of everybody here in the S4. That's gnarly. All right, and we're back. Obviously not at the racetrack anymore. This is actually 3 full days later, and there was a reason why I wanted to wait to finish this video off. I'm going to show it to you right now. And this is what I was waiting for, the official results table to kind of go through everything and show, you know, where I ended up. So this is me here in the S4. You can see I am 2nd overall. It is 2nd in Class 2. David was not running a Boxster Spider. He was actually running the new GR Corolla, that 300 horse turbo all-wheel drive crazy rally thing. It was super impressive. David's an awesome driver. But yeah, finished about 5.5 tenths back from him. And yeah, so it was a really good day for me. You know, anytime a lowly S4 can go better than an RS5 is fun. GT3s, Focus RSs, M Coupes, some very fast drivers, previous national champion winners like James Paulson, Jared Still in the Crazy RX-7, and then here's my co-driver Susie in 20th. And this to me was kind of the bigger thing about what makes this car so good. Susie's a really good driver. 20th is one of her best results, and I mean, she beat, again, some fantastic drivers. Bob Schatz is always quick in the Tesla. Daniel Paulson is amazing, one of the people we really look up to. Anson, who actually runs the autocross program for Porsche Club, extremely quick. But let's be serious, a lot of this was simply conditions. What do I mean by conditions? Well, they were ideal for us and completely not ideal for everybody else. You notice most of those cars and those drivers I was talking about that we finished better than, they're 2-wheel drive cars. And as you saw in the video, it was absolutely raining cats and dogs just about the whole day. And just kind of where we were at in PIR, that's the pits that's used for drag racing. That's which has just started. They've only had, I think, 2 drag races have actually gone off this year without rain. So you get a lot of fluids dumped there. We also just had the swap meet a couple of weeks ago. Who knows what got dumped on there? So you could see the rainbows. There was just oil, fluids everywhere. And so the 2-wheel drive cars were really struggling. In fact, looking at like Chuck Jarvie, who's got, an identical 986S to ours, and we were usually right next to each other all the way down in the ladders. He was, I'd have to go look it up again, but he was like in the 44.8, somewhere in there. So I know that conditions and just having an all-wheel drive car is by and far the biggest part of it. So this isn't to toot our driving horn. This is what makes this car so good, that all-wheel drive grip. To be honest, I think that the car probably would have been slower if the conditions were nice. If they were sunny out like they are right now, I think it would actually do worse, because it does understeer a little. It does push. It does tend to overheat the tires. And so that little bit of grease and film on the road actually loosen the car up enough for us to be able to get it to dance and actually turn and not just plow. So yeah, I totally do not expect another finish like that, but I'm super happy that we got it. Even conditions like this, I don't think would have been as advantageous for us. Anytime you get any kind of dry pavement left, I think we would start pushing and understeering, and those 2-wheel drive cars would come on their grip and do way better than us. But that being said, let's talk about what worked well, what didn't work well with the S4. Obviously, the car worked well. We didn't have any mechanical issues. We didn't have any problems. Didn't have any kind of weird wear issues with tires or anything. You can see here, everything actually looks really nice. Didn't blew the rotors or anything like that. Car worked fantastically. Driving wise, we did okay. I had one DNF very early on. I cooked it way too hot and was not able to stop in time to get through a gate. But other than that, a couple of cones. The course changed quite a bit. I'm gonna be honest on this one. It was raining so hard, all the chalk boxes, that go around the cones, when you have the cone out, you put a chalk box around it, gets knocked over, the drivers come and put it back in that box. Those boxes were disappearing, so the cones were moving around as they got hit, which meant that the course was changing. I think it was changing for the worse, because you'd go down the slalom, instead of all the cones being in a row, they would be offset, but they'd be offset the wrong direction. So the slalom actually got harder. The turnaround got easier. The gates, they started off, you know, normal, and then grew and grew. But they did bring it back in, but it didn't really affect us because you wanted to be tight on that corner anyway, not wide. Once they reset the track, I think people actually went faster. If you look at the times, most of the fast times came after they were putting the course kind of back together as best they could. But yeah, so just the car worked well for us. Our driving worked well for us. I definitely feel like we shook the rust off. Definitely feel like the car is ready for the track cross with Bridge City in a couple of weeks. I do still want to work on the brakes if I can, just because I know the higher speeds are going to work these brakes way harder, and I know what they did in Maryhill last year. Other than that, not really anything to take away from it, honestly. I want to put more events on the car before we start really changing things other than the parts that we already own. I do feel like it could definitely benefit from an alignment that's a little bit more competition focused and a little less street focused. Part of that is going to be getting some camber in it, which does mean maybe doing some camber arms. I don't know if there's bolts available for it or anything like that, so we will look at that eventually. And also, it's got the original suspension on it. That car's got 127,000 miles on it. Those are the original shocks from 2011. Those are the original bushings. It's all factory under there. There's no actual suspension work done to this thing yet, so we have a lot of room to improve when it comes to suspension. We were not lacking for power at all. I still have no reason to tune this thing. I'm kind of honestly a little afraid that what happens when you add another 100 horsepower to this thing, like, is it going to become undrivable out on the autocross track? So we'll definitely have to look at something that maybe we can, you know, flip some switches on and turn on and off. But I couldn't be happier with our first event, with the car for the season. I couldn't be more happy with how everything went for us, shaking the rust off and whatnot. Yeah, feeling very, very confident going into the track cross. But again, we're going to have a good time. We don't run for points with BC or anything like that. It's an event we just have never done. You know, we've done autocross, we've done quarter mile drag racing, eighth mile drag racing, half mile, you know, top speed stuff, road rallies, the track days, track nights, time attacks, time trials. The list goes on and on and on, but I've never done a track cross, so it seems really, really interesting to me, kind of like this cross between autocross and like a time attack or time trial. And it's on a track we've never been to, so anytime you can knock a new track off of your list, or, you know, add a new track to your list, totally worth doing. So very much looking forward to that. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to subscribe, because we are going to have a lot of content on the S4 this season, taking it to lots and lots of events, including Maryhill again, track days, all that kind of stuff. And again, track cross is in 2 short weeks, so you don't have long to wait for the next one. And hopefully we'll see you in it.